Burnt out ecom founder, you need this video. If you are juggling ads, suppliers, orders, customer service, and you're feeling stressed out, this is for you. My name's James. I've done over £1.3 million with my e-commerce businesses, and yet I only need to spend an hour a day to keep them running and scaling. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I went from being burnt out to an in-control owner. So let's dive in, but why should you listen to me straight away before we get into this board that I've set out for you? Well, as I say, have done over £1.3 million in sales, but it wasn't always like this. A few years ago, I was actually still in my 9-to-5 job, and I was burnt out because I was also running everything to do with my e-commerce business at the same time. So I was the one responsible for all customer service, I was the one responsible for all of the orders to get fulfilled, all of the new suppliers, all of the product uploading, and no matter what it is that you're doing in your business, if you can resonate with that, it will get to a point where you won't be able to continue growing. And that's exactly what happened to me. I got my business to about 40k revenue a month, and I was making sales and I was fulfilling the orders, but it was starting to burn me out because I was the one doing everything. And what happened when you're in this position is that it won't take long until you realise that you can't sustain this level of involvement, because you'll be doing everything you can, and if we look at the graph here, you'll have all of the excitement to get started, and then you'll push on and push on and push on. If this is your sales, it will start by increasing. But there is a point where it plateaus, and the plateau is where you have reached your capacity, your limit. And the only way that you can continue is if you start taking new action, and importantly, if you get out of the way. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Because if you don't get out of your way, you will experience signs of burnout. Now, what are the root causes of burnout? And you can resonate with this, I'm sure. Starting with a new business, you're going to be the one that's wearing every hat. So that would be customer service, ads, supplier calls, fill in the blanks here. It's going to be products, it's going to be the website you're going to be responsible for as well. And ultimately, the buck stops with you. Now, this is what you wanted to build a business for in the first place. You want to be the one that's responsible for your own success, which is fantastic. However, it also means for the first time, everything does stop with you. Not just the good things where you get credit for, but also things that aren't working. You're the one that needs to fix that. And that can lead to stress if you don't get out of your own way at some point. Another thing that's far too common is that you don't have systems in place when you first get started. You'll just start doing, and you won't stop to think, how are you doing this? So there'll be no documented systems, there'll be no delegation when you first get started, so you'll be spinning plates. Another thing that causes burnout is being constantly in reactive mode. So when you turn up to start the day, do you have a plan of what you want to do? And do you actually get to do that plan for the day? The amount of times that I would have my plan of how I knew I could grow the business by signing new suppliers, creating new ad campaigns, but I was halted because an email would come in at the start of the day from a customer, and I would spend hours sorting that customer out, or I'd spend hours uploading new products from a supplier, and I would never take the actions that were truly important. And I had no priorities, and it's a quick way to lead to burnout. And the cost of this is not just the cost of your mental health and all of the burnout symptoms that you will find if you don't quickly outsource and systemize, is that you will start to spend your time on the £10 an hour tasks rather than the £1,000 an hour strategy that you should be doing. So, for example, a £10 an hour task is things that you'll still be doing, like fulfilling an order, like contacting suppliers to ask for the tracking number, or reaching out to customers to let them know that it's on the way, responding to customer inquiries, uploading products. These are all tasks that could be outsourced for way less than £10 an hour for somebody else to do that. And instead, what the real cost of that is, you're then giving up that time when you could be spending it putting together the strategy for how you're going to get your business to the next level. And those kind of conversations, those kind of tasks where you're really diving deep into your business is what gives you the big payoffs over the long run. The next thing as well, the real cost, is you'll lose that creativity because you're so in the weeds every day. It's so difficult to then take a step back and think creatively about how you can improve the experience for your customers and how you can see a good vision of the future. And ultimately that is stunted long-term growth, because you're the one that's going to get in the way of being able to grow for the long term, because you're constantly thinking, how can I just get through the next day? And it's a huge cost. Now, here is the 4-step time freedom framework that I installed into people's businesses, and it's exactly what I did first of all for my own business, so I could grow and scale while taking a step back and getting out of the way of my business to grow. If you want me to send across the resources, the SOPs that I use in my business, send me a message on Instagram, the link is in the description, and I'll have a chat with you on there, and I can send across everything you need and make sure that you're no longer going to be struggling with burnout. So the first step in this process is, first of all, we need to analyse and audit. So how often, and when was the last time you actually took a step back from doing the day-to-day running of your business to look at how you're growing and look at what actions can you take to get to the next level? How often are you able to do that? And how often are you just spinning plates and making sure that you get through the day and customers are served? That's the first step. Start to list your weekly tasks and highlight where there's repetition, where you're spending time doing the same thing over and over again. Step 2 is to then document the tasks that you do. Now, this sounds like it's going to be a big, onerous task, but it isn't if you approach it step by step. So the first thing is just to start documenting how do you do everything that you've done in the day, and start making a note of a checklist of how you complete something. So a good example is, how do you fulfill an order? When an order comes in, what actions do you need to take to make sure that the whole experience is perfect for customers? Make sure that is in a simple checklist, and even better than a checklist is to have a Loom video created, and you'll be able to record yourself doing it start to finish. Now, you've started to identify what you need to outsource, you've documented how you do it. We can now make sure that we're delegating it through hiring and onboarding the right people to take over these tasks for you. Now, I strongly believe, as an e-commerce business owner, that virtual assistants are going to be one of the best ways for you to take a step back, grow your business, and reduce your burnout. I hire virtual assistants from the Philippines, and I hire people for e-commerce businesses now, and the feedback that I get from people. Like just today, I heard from one of my clients, Adam, who had a VA put into his business, how his VA is now closing sales that are doing 3.5k profit per sale, and their VA is able to facilitate that sale. Talk about the return on investment for a VA that's going to be costing somewhere between £500 to £1,000 a month. It's unbelievable from the amount of return on investment that you get from these people. Not just to mention the headspace that they give as well. So onboarding and hiring, it's always a case of just having the documents ready, making sure they feel supported. And then finally, step 4 is all about checking in, making sure that your VA has accountability, feels like they are supported, but also feels like they have control over their area of the business, and you'll get the best out of them. Why this matters is that ultimately the outcome of this is you will gain 4 to 6 hours extra per week that you can focus on growth. So effectively you're buying back your time, and that time can be spent however you want, whether that's de-stressing or whether it's thinking about how to get to the next level in your business. This is what it looks like ultimately when you do a time overhaul. And when I do time overhaul for people's businesses, what they need to put in place is automation systems and delegation. We'll overhaul how they're spending their time, and the outputs of that is focus, growth, and freedom for them in their life and in their business. We just need to understand, what is it we can automate, what is it that we need to systemize, and what is it that we can delegate. And then with this overhaul system, by putting these inputs, we'll get these outputs. And the results have been huge for myself. And now the way I run my business, as I say, it's an hour a day. I'm just overseeing the KPIs for the business. What ROAS are we getting on our paid ad marketing schemes? What work are we doing towards email, towards blog posts? And I'm just managing my VAs that control the business and keep the store running. And it's a pleasure to do it. It means I can scale, but also enjoy it at the same time. So your next steps, if you're feeling burnt out, don't accept that as something that you have to do. Audit your last and your next 7 days. So if you have a record already of how you've been spending your time when running your business, then look through that record, think about how you're spending your time, and get clear on what can be delegated and automated. If you haven't got that record, then just look now from the day that you've watched this video for the next 7 days and start getting clear on how it is that you're spending your time. And first of all, just pick one task to delegate, and just delegate that today. As I mentioned earlier, all you need to do to delegate is record a quick Loom SOP. So record yourself using a tool like Loom on your laptop, how you're completing that task, and you can create a checklist using that video that you've recorded. And if you want free toolkits for hiring, if you want free toolkits to how to create an SOP, send me a message on Instagram, links in the description, and I'm more than happy to help you out however I can. So with that said, follow the steps. Don't accept burnout as something that's to happen just because you're running an e-commerce business and you're a brand new founder. Make sure that you are taking the right steps to enjoy the process. You'll scale so much faster and you'll enjoy it at the same time. So I hope you've enjoyed the video today. Look forward to speaking with you soon, and I'll catch you in the next video.